Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturchio and Chris Gueci.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mojo Market Report right here on a Thursday. It is Thursday, April the 6th, 2023. And of course, as always, your host, Dave Sturchio, Chris Chico Gucci over here, rocking the old school. I like it. I like it. I like the old school Razor Ramon t-shirt. Hope everybody's doing well out there. I hope everybody enjoyed the sports last night. You had obviously a loaded slate of NBA. If you're an NHL fan, we're also coming up on the playoffs. I know nobody really cares about hockey at this point and juncture, but it's going to be a very exciting spring in New York. You have the Devils, the Rangers, the Islanders, there's the Knicks, the Nets. They're all in the playoffs. The last time that happened, 1994. We all know what happened in 1994, Chris.
It means absolutely nothing, and I think we all know that. No, there's no Rangers Stanley Cup in the mix because of that. Maybe they win it, but it will have nothing to do with the Richter days and the Messier days.
Richter was at the card show the other day. I didn't get a chance to meet him.
That's the only reason why I knew who he was.
Because I announced, hey, Mike Richter's here. So, in any event, baseball, the Yankees, another great performance out of Garrett Cole. That's 2 in a row. Mm-hmm. You know who can't pitch? The New York Mets. Look, I know James Shiano is a Mojo bigwig over there. I talk to him every so often. He's a Mets fan. I don't know how he's feeling about this right now, but the fact is, I'm well aware that it's early, right? But you have to get your boys in line. You gotta, and I know, look, the Rays right now are 6-0, right? So it's like, let's not go crazy. We all know the Rays aren't going to finish 162-0. But like, when you're the Mets and you're now struggling the way they are, and you know we have colleagues here.
The Phillies aren't playing well. The Braves, I'm not sure exactly what the Braves are doing, but look, it's week 1, bro. I think that we can aware. Chalk this up to the Packers getting drubbed 38-3 week 1 to the Saints.
The Atlanta Braves have started off 5-1.
The Mets are going to win baseball games. Look, what are they? 2 games out?
2.5. Right, so at the record of 3-4.
We got plenty of time to sort this
there's plenty
out.
of time. But again, you just don't want to get sparked the way they have, and it's not good. Now, look, the plus side for the Mets right now is that the fact that they're heading home for their home opener. So Buck Showalter, they asked Buck Showalter about it, and he said, hopefully we're going home to some happy faces, some smiling faces. I don't think the fans at Citi Field are going to boo them.
There's going to be plenty of excitement for the Mets fans. It's still week 1. They're fine. They're 500 right now, basically. So that's just nothing.
A little bit of I don't want to say like concern because a lot of people were asking for his outright release. Josh Donaldson came up limp yesterday, a little bit of a hammy issue. I heard a couple callers on New York radio today say, we hope it's a 5 to 6 month stint on the IL. Nobody wants Josh Donaldson anymore, and I know you didn't as soon as we made the trade. I was the one excited about it. I said, whoa, former MVP, like, let's go, rejuvenated, New York, bad boy of the Bronx, like,
yeah,
it hasn't really
of the Bronx.
It really hasn't panned out very well. But, I mean, this might give a shot for DJ LeMahieu to play a lot more third. Or maybe something Cabrera could play the outfield. Look, you got to do something, and you got to hope that you have depth, and I think you do at the moment. But you know how Booney likes to give these guys these off days, so you got to find some guys to fill some holes over the course of the next couple of weeks if you are indeed, in fact, going to lose Josh Donaldson. So again, not alarmed, but somewhat alarmed, I guess. Anyway, NBA. We got the playoff push, man. It is right here. We've been talking about it all week. It is the final week of the regular season. The postseason starts next week. The weekend's going to be loaded with absolutely have-to-have games. Last night, no different. Just going down the Rolodex of some of the guys, some of the scorers that kind of jump out at you. The Knicks, once again, score 138 points on offense. They give up a 131, but I digress with that. But quickly, again, goes for 39. These guys, these role players that have stepped up their game since the absence of Randall, who leads their team in scoring, is exactly what you need going into the playoffs. Now, I know you have said it and went on record and say they're not going to do anything without Randall against the Cavaliers. They might win a couple games here and there, but overall, it's the end of the road. Me, I see guys like Obi Toppin. I see guys like Quickly. I see guys that are just starting to stand out just a little bit more because of the playing time that they're now forced to have. I kind of like what the Knicks are doing down the stretch here. I like what they've been.
What's Cleveland doing? They're still playing well.
Cleveland's 7-3 in their last 10. So Cleveland's playing good, but so are the Knicks. The Knicks are 7-3 in their last 10. So they're both playing good. this is exactly what you need going in, right? The seedings won't change. It is the Cleveland Cavs and it is the New York Knicks. They're going to be meeting in the first
The way I
round.
look at it,
Can the
right-
Knicks stack
right-
up?
I don't think that they can. I think, especially without Julius Randle, it's going to mean a lot more in a 7-game series. And basically, what we have in the Eastern Conference right now is a couple of games that mean almost literally, quite literally, nothing.
Well, I said it yesterday. All 10 have clinched.
Yeah, they clinched. And
because the rest of them have been eliminated.
When it comes
so now
to
it's
the
just
seedings in the pecking order, I don't think that the NBA teams care as much as other sports. Same with baseball. You know, it's like, what are we losing a game here? I don't think it's all that important when it comes to this point in the season. You're not going to push hard for an extra spot in the seedings because it actually can be detrimental depending on how certain teams are playing. You
True.
look out west right now. Who would you rather run into? Some of these higher seed teams, or like
I actually
Phoenix?
I have some questions about the West. Obviously, the Nets, another big win. They're keeping their momentum heading into the postseason as they're probably going to stack up to play the Philadelphia 76ers. That's going to be a great series. A lot of history there. Now, yesterday we were talking, or
It's gonna be a sweep.
Think they get swept by the
Yeah, you're gonna
Sixers?
get swept.
Wow. All right. Not even a fighting chance at all? Really? Oh, wow. All right. Anyway.
They might make a game or two close, I think, but I don't know. I can't see
Possibly.
that. Come on, bro.
But I will say, last night, the Dallas Mavericks, in a must-win, have to win. You can't drop any more games. They did, and they did in a big way. They win their game 123-119. They kept it. Obviously, it was closer than what everybody wanted. But Kyrie Irving went absolutely ham in the fourth quarter. He scores 31. Now, when you're looking at the standings, based off tiebreakers alone, the Mavericks are still on the outside looking in. They're literally the same record as the Oklahoma City Thunder, who went out there and did not play last night, but they play tonight. So that's a big one as they go to Utah. But what I will say is this. I spoke to one Bobby Belt. Bobby Belt is a producer over at 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. He's a Cowboy. He covers the Cowboys. But he tweeted out last night as the Dallas Mavericks had this surge in the fourth quarter, and it looked great, right? He goes, Mavs, you're doing the tanking all wrong. And I said, wait a minute. You're a half game out of the playoff, the play-in playoff. He's like, imagine being in that situation. You're right there on the cusp with a Kyrie and a Luka. But if you don't miss the playoffs, guess what? You're in the lottery. So I guess, are you in that? What? You're the GM. You're Mark Cuban now, right? I mean, because he's everything over there. What do you want? Do you want to make the playoffs and see if you can go on a run with two superstars, or
Yes.
you lose and you might lose one of those superstars in free agency?
I'm not going to Jason Kidd and Luka and saying, "Hey guys, we're going to mail it in." No way, not at all.
Well, we saw the reports of a possible shutdown for those guys.
If it's due to injury, you go to Luka and you say, "Hi, how you doing, bro?" If Luka says, "I'm playing, bro," it's legacy on the line for me when it comes to this situation for a potential all-time great. Where we're talking about Luka, he has the potential to be as good as anybody that's ever played the game, outside of a couple guys. I just think it breeds a bad culture. If that's already your culture, but people were fully expecting Dallas to be a playoff team this year.
100%.
It's not like they're going to have a really great chance in the lottery if they do get in. So what are they going to pick, 12? You know, it's a tank for what? One extra ping pong ball? Doesn't add up to me. I'm saying you got to stick with the culture, try and win basketball games. You get in the playoffs with a couple stars, you don't know what could happen. I don't see the Dallas Mavericks even getting in. So tanking all wrong, you might still be on the outside looking in and find yourself in the lottery. Go win a basketball game or two and give your fans a fighting chance.
It's really all about OKC as they go to Utah. And, of course, Utah has had themselves, a tough season as well. But they're basically, they're not technically mathematically eliminated yet. But this is a winnable game for OKC. Meanwhile, Dallas will be idle tonight, and they're hoping that OKC drops to Utah tonight. So all of a sudden, that gets tighter. Great game out west in LA last night as the Clippers take down the Lakers 125-118. So now the Clippers jump. And I said this in my preview. I said the winner would jump to the 5 because Golden State didn't play last night. So that's what happened. The Clippers all of a sudden are now sitting there at the 5 seed, and they would be matched up. The Clippers would be matched up with the Suns. Now, I saw a stat last night. I don't know if it's 1,000% accurate, but it's not hard to figure out. When Kevin Durant is on the court for the Suns, they're 7-0. They haven't lost. So, and that came from our buddy Kyle Kerms. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, do you want that smoke? Do you want the Suns in the playoffs?
I'm saying, like, if you're the 5 seed right now, or if you're the Clippers, are you really winning a game? Like, guys, you're tanking all wrong.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't want to play them. You'd rather play. I guess the 6 would be the 3 would be
the Kings
the
right
Kings.
now.
I would rather play the Kings and the Suns.
100%.
Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And then I think that their bench is a little bit depleted since the KD trade, but they got a really good head coach. And there's a little bit of desperation attached to that because I don't think KD really cares much about his legacy, but I know Chris Paul is desperate for a ring. Like super
that guy,
desperate for a ring.
It's one of those guys you root for
and this is
every year.
Like,
try to get
looking like as tough as the West has been over the last 2 decades, this is looking like the most up-in-the-air Western Conference because you got teams like Golden State who you can't count out. You can't really count out the Lakers, even though I am.
Bro, the 5 seed, the Clippers are
you
4
can't
games
count
over
out.
500. That's the 5 seed. So it's like the powerhouses are gone. Like it's a toss-up. And that's what I said yesterday. I said, if the Lakers get in and the Golden State Warriors get hot and the Clippers are playing all world, they got to be looking at the top of the rank and say, yo, we could take these guys. These guys are not the world beaters of old. Like, they're not the Lakers of prime Lakers. They're not the Golden State Warriors when they were going on all their runs. Like, they're not those teams. They're not that guy, pal, right? These guys are winnable. You can win those series.
Yeah,
100%.
I think the Suns win the West, now that I'm looking at it.
You like the Suns in the West.
I mean,
we'll make our official predictions next week, by the way, because the brackets will be set and everybody will be, in place. But you like the Suns in the West right now, even with the fact that look, Denver has kind of run away with this thing. They're only 2.5 up on Memphis, but throughout the course of the year, Denver's been playing good basketball. But a lot of people are saying that they got holes, man, and they're soft at times, and they can get beat up. They got beat up by Houston the other night, and beat up by Houston the other night. Houston had no business being in that game. They're 40 games out of 500.
They're gearing up for the postseason right now.
Maybe they'll get the foot off the gas a little bit.
They haven't really played well in the postseason. They got close a couple years back, and then Jamal Murray got hurt, and that was the end of their next 2 years, really. It was the end of that season and then the season after that because it was a late season injury
right.
and it messed them up. But still, poor Jokic because mid-season they get KD, and I think that tipped things a little bit. And I've been on the Nuggets train all year for the lack of a better team to come up with. And then once KD goes there, it's like, okay, that's the star power. That's the guy that I see could carry his team on his back.
Do you think
this might be it for KD, too.
Do you think a Denver needs another piece to really compete going forward? I mean, look.
Yeah.
Again, they've
I
played.
mean, no. Denver could win the finals this year.
Yeah.
They're
it
good.
stands right now.
Yeah, they could win the finals this year. We'll find out if they need another piece. I don't think they're going to win it, but if they did, I wouldn't be completely shocked. They were the best team in basketball almost all year.
In that Clippers-Lakers game last night, couple prop bets that I played. And, of course, you know me. I'm like, it's the end of the year. Let's hit some overs. Let's get some high-scoring points. Let's do it. I took the over on AD. I thought he was going to have himself a night. He was set at 27.5. He scores 17, so that's a no-go. Kawhi Leonard set at 27.28, and he scored 25. That's another low. But old reliable, the king, LeBron James. He was set at 25.65. He goes for 33. In a loss. So now the Lakers still in the playoffs right now, but currently they are now back into the play-in game and play-in series. So now you got to worry about that. Right now the Lakers will be stacked up against OKC as the 7-10. But again, tonight you got Miami, Philly, OKC, Utah, Denver, Phoenix. So these games all matter. Obviously, it's just something to keep in mind and something to keep your eye on going forward and tomorrow. Chris, got one question for you as we wrap up this regular season, and playoffs will start. Some of these guys are going to be playing in it, some of they won't. Is there a rookie that has stood out to you in? Is there a rookie that has stood out to you in the NBA regular season that you can pretty much invest in now and feel good about it? And I'll list a couple. Obviously, Banchero over there in Orlando, he's sitting there at $224 a share. So his, the NBA shares are a lot different than the NBA and the NFL. But he's averaging 20 points a game. He's having himself a fine season. You got Walker Kessler there in Utah. We were just talking about the Jazz not too long ago. He's only averaging 9 points a game, but he's also averaging 23 minutes. So he's not seeing a lot of time. Jaden Ivey, who could have been a Knick once upon a time, he's averaging 16 points a game, 30 minutes a game per night or per time he's on there. And then Keegan Murray, who's obviously playing with the Kings, and the Kings have had themselves a fantastic season. He's a role player in that, only averaging 12 points a game, but the Kings are on the rise.
I mean,
is there somebody that stands
out?
out?
It's a fairly obvious one with the list of players here. To me, it's Banchero. The guy lit it up coming out of the gate. I think he's got like 6 or 7 games with 30 or more points this season. He's averaging 27 and 4 or something like that. He has He's a passing big, and he hits a 3-pointer a game. He's shooting about 75% from the free throw line, and he's in the Eastern Conference. If you look around the NBA right now, who's the 3 best teams? It's the
Bucks.
The Bucks. It's probably the Sixers, arguably. I mean, you could say the Celtics in the East too. But the Bucks, the Sixers, and the Nuggets, and the 3 things they have in common, or the one thing that those 3 teams have in common, is a dominant big man. I think Banchero in the East is going to be one of the dominant bigs for the next couple years.
And isn't Orlando missing the one kid? The guy who got hurt beginning?
No, that's OKC. Are you talking about?
Oh yeah, OKC. Okay. I mean, look, that's.
I mean, that's another one that I might be investing in because he didn't play this year, so he's entering year 2 with a year of NBA, coaching and seasoning under his belt. Sitting the bench over there, and a very exciting young team. They got a lot of good players on that team.
Okay.
But if I'm going with one, it's going to be Banchero because of the size, and the Eastern Conference has been weak for my entire life, basically, outside of the Jordan days. So Banchero, Orlando, they're going to be perennial playoff teams.
It's funny you bring up the Jordan days.
Next year.
You bring up the Jordan days, like the East has been weak since the Jordan days, but even when Jordan was here, it was still weak. It was just the Bulls.
Well, yeah.
They were dominating the East. And my Knicks, unfortunately, just couldn't get past that hump until he took a year off for baseball, and then we got to the finals. But anyway. That's the rookies over there on the Mojo Market, and they all come with 3-time multipliers. So if you're interested, get involved right now as we enter the postseason and into next season, because we all see what kind of stuff happens on the Mojo Market in the off seasons of these programs, or at least these of the markets. They move, whether it be player acquisition or releases or extensions or news, or he gets in trouble or whatever. Keep your eye on the Mojo app. We're sometimes first to break a lot of big stories. So let's switch gears to the NFL, because guess what? There's another mock draft out there. And you know what? This one, I like the best.
The actual draft.
Yeah, I know. At this
Dave
point,
probably just likes the player he got in this one.
No, that's not true. Actually, it is kind of true. But no, this one came out yesterday, and it's very interesting because of some of the moves that were made within this draft. So again, this is now Lance Zierlein. This is 3.0, so he's gone over his own stuff twice already. This is his 3rd installment on NFL.com. The one thing that jumps out at me...
We get it, Lance.
What?
We get it, Lance.
Nah, I mean, these things go up to like 5.0. You have to. Because things happen. People have their pro days. People don't like, either A, character issues, B, he looked, fat during his pro day. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Things change, right? So Lance Zierlein comes out, says overall... And now all the mock drafts that we've watched, Chris, or at least read about, are very top-heavy with the quarterbacks. 1, 2, 4, and then maybe like 7. So like within the top 10, 4 guys go, right? This one, way different, okay? Lance Zierlein comes out and says Carolina gets their guy, and they choose Bryce Young to be the quarterback of their future, which, again, we've seen that time and time again. However, pick number 2 are the Houston Texans. Now, do they covet one guy or another? According to Lance Zierlein, they covet Bryce Young. So if they miss out on Bryce Young, they're not going to go and pick C.J. Stroud. That's interesting.
This guy's out of his mind.
It's interesting. Because look, if you covet... Listen, that's the conversation
Lance,
to have.
you're out of your mind with this one,
listen, if you covet one guy, why settle?
My point
when
is
you can get a haul to move.
I'm not
if needed.
I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't trade, or they won't, or they will or won't. I think the 3 pick is way more in play. I do not think the 1 or the 2 is getting traded. I think that
not the 1, because they already got traded for the 1.
Well, that's
so the 2.
Well, no, I mean, teams are definitely calling them still, guaranteed.
Probably.
Right? I don't think the 1 or the 2 gets moved. I think the 3 pick is heavily in play, and the Raiders are in there, the Colts are in there, and the Titans are apparently in there. And then I'm sure there's some mystery teams that are going to be in there as well.
Always
but
is.
I just have issues. 1.0 is cool. It's like I know Dave's probably going to be completely on the other side of the fence here with this one. It's like mock draft 1.0 is cool, but maybe you should just wait a little bit and just put out mock draft, right?
Just one?
Just put out the mock draft.
You want one mock draft per guy?
You want to know
or
why?
girl?
When's the draft? It's like 2-3 weeks away.
3 weeks away.
So
actually, it's Thursday right now, so
draft,
3 weeks from tonight.
44.0, Lance Zierlein. And like, at what point are we going to start to pump the brakes on the trades with like star players in the draft? He's got he's got 11 teams.
I'm glad you said that.
He's got 11 team draft day picks.
I'm glad you said
traded
that because
stars
at the 4,
massive contracts that have to be negotiated and worked into deals.
The 4.
Lamar is not a draft day trade piece.
At the 4, we have none other.
Give me a break.
Than the Colts and the Ravens making a blockbuster trade, sending Lamar Jackson to the Indianapolis Colts, and then the Ravens taking C.J. Stroud.
So who's the 2 pick?
An edge rusher.
And then who's the 3 pick?
Another edge rusher.
Give
Will
me
Anderson.
a break.
What? It's not in the realm of possibilities.
There is 0% chance that a quarterback isn't picked second in my book. Not even a slight chance. It's 1-2 quarterbacks, right? And then the 3rd pick is going to be traded. That's going to be the traded pick, and that's also most likely going to be a quarterback who is reached on. That would be my Chris Gueci mock draft 1.0. Don't ask me which of the 2 quarterbacks are going to go 1 and 2 because both teams have done a really good job in keeping that mum. And I think the other team is going to happily select the other guy. I personally think.
And I want to put respect on their names. Houston goes Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech, and of course Arizona, who's been mocked to have Will Anderson Jr. pretty much on every mock draft across the board, will take Will Anderson Jr. But the Ravens is the big one, man. Maybe C.J. Stroud is the quarterback over there, and Indy gets Lamar Jackson. At what point is something going to happen with Lamar? You can't just sit back.
Bro, if I'm Indy in the stage that I'm at, like considering we didn't win many football games last year, we're in a first-year head coach. I don't really have much desire to pay a quarterback all that money at this point with where the team is.
But don't you
right
think
now.
That's the ultimate safety net for a new head coach? You got yourself a franchise quarterback right away?
I actually don't. I think that could potentially be an automatic, you're done if this doesn't work out right away. Whereas the safety net would be, okay, we have a rookie quarterback. Let's give him a little bit of time and some seasoning. That would be my estimation, and we all know that a fired head coach is the best job.
But guess
in
what?
The history of the world.
It really is. As I just asked the guy who's on an island right now, Kingsbury. Guess what, Chris?
I wonder if he's still there.
Another trade happens here, and the Texans, who didn't want C.J. Stroud, trade back into the top 10 because they have 12 picks and they have enough to expend. They get in there and they trade up with the Raiders, and they take Will Levis to be their quarterback of the future. So after all that conversation about not picking C.J. Stroud, they covet another guy down the stretch, and they get a haul for it.
So you think
the original pick?
We're on the.
They actually make the first pick, so they
we're
don't
under
trade.
the impression that if the Raiders, if Levis falls to them at 7, they're going to trade the pick.
Maybe they like Jimmy G. They signed Brian Hoyer yesterday.
Coach Bry, what up, Coach Hoyer?
I love how every seasoned vet to you is a coach, and there's no playing.
Coach Hoyer, no question about it. That guy will be coaching on Belichick's staff or one of those cronies. No questions asked. Anthony Richardson, I do believe that's where he belongs, getting picked at, even if not lower, because I just don't see 4 quarterbacks panning out.
Anthony Richardson falls to Bill Belichick, and at that point, Bill says, I'm going with Richardson. And then they trade Mac Jones. So that could be a thing. The Mac Jones stuff we talked about yesterday, you never know with that. All of a sudden, he was shopped, past tense. And then receivers kind of go on the back end of the first round. Bijan going to Buffalo. You talking about a missing piece in Buffalo.
And they're trading Stephon Diggs and
what?
And next year's 1 to move up to the what pick do they? What pick?
What are you talking? Are you just Lance Zierlein has just gone off the rails here.
Of Lance Zierlein.
The Cowboys take Quentin Johnston, which again, that was our boy Mike Renner's favorite pet cat pick of the draft. So I'm cool with that. Going to your, just so you're aware, in Lance Zierlein's mock draft 3.0, the Jets make a pick at 13, so there's no pick there.
The only trade that's the most likely.
But here's
trade.
the thing. Ready for this? In Zierlein's description of the 13th pick in the draft with the Jets taking Broderick Jones, offensive tackle out of Georgia, right? He goes, if the Jets and Packers finally agree to an Aaron Rodgers trade, protecting the quarterback will be crucial. So he thinks that not only does the trade happen, the first-round pick is not involved at all.
Yeah, I don't care at this point. He clearly has zero clue what he's talking about.
Dalton Kincaid, tight end to the Packers there at 15. You need a tight end, there's your guy. Where's the first receiver go? Like I'm looking up and down this. Oh, there he is. At 11, Jackson Smith and Njigba. So that's the first receiver to
Titans.
go. Yes. And then obviously we go down the line here. Jalen Hyatt's been getting a lot of buzz lately. He goes to the Chargers. Zay Flowers, this is a big one for the Ravens because if they have a new quarterback in C.J. Stroud with this draft, they need another young receiver over there. Buffalo, Bijan, they trade up to get him actually because Minnesota was there. Joey Porter Jr., coveted cornerback out of Penn State. Joey Porter's son, obviously. The New York Giants get a corner. The Cowboys take Johnston. And then the back end, Luke, a couple other tight ends, defensive tackles, edge rushers, and the Chiefs take a receiver. Did you also see this report? I'm seeing this now, and this is for the first time I'm seeing this. It says 3 to go. Tyreek Hill announces that he'll retire after 2025.
Who cares?
I mean, that's significant, no?
Give me a break. No. Until somebody, if he's still playing well and he's got $20 million on the table, he ain't going nowhere. I can guarantee it. And
I'm just curious to know why you look. Listen. I'm well aware of why some of these guys get out early, whether it be injuries or they want to run around with their kids or whatever the case may be. I'm not about to question his toughness at all.
It has nothing to do with that.
But to say it,
My thing is,
by the way, I got 3
my
years to play.
agent, if I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, shut your mouth. You know what I mean? There could be an extendo with a signing bonus involved. You could be costing yourself some money.
That's true. Shh. Very true. Do not say a word. All right, guys, do us a favor right now. Follow us. That's the way to do it. That's the way to keep up with all this stuff on TikTok, on Instagram, and on the old Twitter machine.
There is one thing, though, if you could take a NFL player's or a star athlete's word for it, is when he retires or when he's going to retire. They usually are spot on. They always know exactly when it's time. And Tyreek Hill is no different than any other star athlete.
I feel like your sarcasm is very, very thick. It's being laid on heavily right now.
But also follow the Discord and
get on the Discord. Go follow it. Daily activity over there. Another NBA slate tonight. We'll talk about it tomorrow in a big NBA slate. We'll give some predictions of what we think might happen over the weekend. And, of course, the NFL rolls on. I really hope Lance Zierlein drops a 4.0 tomorrow just so I can just piss off Chris with another mock draft. So, anyway, for Dave Sturchio, Chris Gueci, this has been another episode of the Mojo Market Report back here on a Feel Good Friday. See you guys tomorrow.